Always at the end of the liturgical year, the church places in front of us, the reality of our Lord's second coming, and some of the readings throughout the gospel that preview that in different ways. So we're at the 33rd week of ordinary time, one more week to go. So here we are, the church has it in front of us. And today we have the gospel about our Lord's second coming from Luke. So this is one of kind of many different images that we have about what it will look like, or the things preceding our Lord's second coming. And I think what really stands out to me this week in this year in this gospel is when our Lord says, he says that and awesome sights and mighty signs will come from the sky. So I kind of think of that because we've seen that here recently. So I think a couple of weeks ago, there was a supermoon. Like, that thing was very large, very impressive to see. And then last week, we had the Northern Lights. So probably my first time of like, okay, that's got to be the Northern Lights, And that was impressive. It was impressive to see, So you kind of, okay, there's awesomeness there. I think what kind of made me a little bit more stern was the power outage we had the other day. So when I was actually, I think, reading this gospel in preparation for the weekend homily, when the lights started flickering and buzzing and browning out and stuff. Okay, and man, it instantly kind of put me in my place. Like, okay, Lord, yeah, I'm ready. Let's do this, And those are good opportunities to do the gut check, But I think what was really impressive about that whole scenario is that evening, a power out was going to be for a while, clear into the evening. We didn't know. And there was in Sheridan a benefit dinner for the Legacy Pregnancy Center. They've been planning this thing all year. Tonight was the big night. And out of nowhere, this half a day long power outage is going to go on. And so there's Fram, what do we do? And you're indifferent. You don't know when the lights are going to come back on. And so they didn't know. And then in a moment of boldness, they said, we're going to have it. And so it's dark. We pulled into Sheridan. The town's dark. And these guys are going to have a benefit dinner in a motel conference room in a blackout. I don't know. But let's do this, And so we gathered, and they had some candlelights. It was kind of fine. But then they started getting ready and started singing some more like praise and worship music. And lights came on and stayed on. And it was a very impressive sight. I think it was also a very good example. It super spoke to me was this last line of our gospel. By your perseverance, you will secure your lives. Okay, so this is the deal. We don't exercise perseverance when our Lord actually starts to show up. We exercise it now. We practice perseverance now so that we don't scramble at the second coming. Like, we discipline ourselves now. There's opportunities now to enact this perseverance stuff so that we're not even ready. We're ready, and we're probably immune even when it comes, because I'm already living in that reality. That's the opportunity we have now to practice perseverance. Okay, so what does that look like? I think practically speaking, there's opportunities all over the place to engage my faith. We're doing it now. We're coming to Mass. What's it look like out there? How do I persevere out there? I think we have a couple just tips in our readings today that can help us. St. Paul, he talks about first those that aren't working, so whoever does not work should not eat. Okay, we got that. But the idea is stay the course. If you've committed to something, do it. If you've got a job to do it. We don't want to, whether it's objective wars and insurrections that preview our Lord's coming, or just disturbances and discouragements in life, you don't want to bow out then. You want to push forward in perseverance. This is how we grow in that virtue now, so that we're always ready whenever that day comes. So it is keep doing what you're doing. Work. That's kind of one way of engaging perseverance now. The other one, I think, is what our Lord says here. And when he's talking about persecution that will come towards the, end of life on earth, and right before his second coming, there'll be persecution. There's persecution now. And he says, this will lead to you giving testimony. Okay, so I think the idea that's helpful there is, how open am I willing to talk about my relationship with the Lord? I think that's good for us to enact. So, and how that kind of fits in, you think when our Lord comes, he comes as the just judge. Our psalm says that. The Lord will rule the earth with justice. So just judge comes, okay, at the end of our lives. All right, in that legalistic imagery, I want to give my testimony. Like I want to kind of, here's my side of the story or something. And so it's an opportunity now to describe how the Lord's working in my life and how I'm cooperating with that grace. I can give testimony now, right? So then when the opportunity comes to give that in front of the Father, I'm on it. Like I've been speaking from my heart for years, So I think we want to be real with that. How open am I? And you don't have to go put it all over the internet, but how open am I of talking about the Lord, giving testimony? I think of that in reality because some other harsh words our Lord uses that come to my mind every once in a while. He says, whoever is ashamed of me, I will be ashamed of at the end of time, along those lines, right? So if we're like ashamed to speak about God now, he may be ashamed at the end of time. So we don't want to do that. So there's opportunity to practice this stuff now so that we're not caught off guard. Whenever trials come our way, the end of our life comes our way, or when the Lord returns in his glory, we're ready. Okay, we don't get ready, we stay ready stuff. And we do this by our perseverance. Okay, so there's opportunity all the time. That's what I'm highlighting, whether it's minor disruptions or whatever. We engage perseverance now so that we're not scrambling at the second coming of our Lord.